welcome back to WSQ number 26. This is the beginning of our section on viruses, bacteria, and fungi. And we're going to start today by talking about four major concepts and some smaller concepts with that. One, how are viruses like organisms? What are we talking about when we say a virus? So how are they like organisms? What's the structure of a virus? How do viruses multiply since they're not living? How do they multiply since they don't reproduce truly? And how can you treat a viral disease? So we're going to kind of talk about those four things today within the context of this particular WSQ. So I know you're excited to get started, so am I. Let's jump in and talk about it. So first of all, we need to understand at an offset, what is a virus? When we talk about a virus, what exactly does that word refer to? Now, there's probably likely most of us in this that are watching this have ideas about what a virus is, but here's the actual definition. A virus is a tiny, non-living, that is super important, non-living particle that invades and multiplies in a living cell. Okay, viruses are not cells. Okay, viruses do not have the characteristics of a living organism. Okay, the only thing that they do like a living organism is multiply. They don't grow. Viruses don't require energy to live. Literally, viruses, all they do that is like a living organism is they multiply, but it's not reproduction. Okay, they'll actually take advantage of the cell's reproducing ability and they'll use that. So viruses are non-living. That's why viruses are so difficult to fight. It's so difficult to like a virus illness, viral illness. Now, if they don't live, if they're non-living, if they don't take food to survive, but they do multiply, how do they exist? That's the big question. Well, you have to think of a virus like a parasite. Okay, now parasites are organisms that live on a host, and they use the host to be able to get the information, the food, the nutrients, so they can grow and reproduce that they need. A virus acts like a parasite in that it will multiply inside an organism called a host. And a host, by definition, is a living thing that provides a source of energy for an organism, or a virus in this case. Okay, now a parasite, excuse me, why did I do that? A parasite is an organism that lives on or in a host and cause it harm. So parasites are typically not a good thing. I had a cousin that went down to South America, I believe is where he was at, on a missions trip when he was younger, and he was swimming in one of the rivers, and he got a parasitic worm, got into his microscopic in size, that grew into a massive, kind of like a tapeworm. He got really sick and had problems because the worm was inside of his intestines and was causing all kinds of health problems. So that's what we're talking about with a parasite, and a virus acts like a parasite. Structurally speaking, when we look at viruses, there's two basic parts that every virus has. Every virus has a protein coat that protects the virus, and every virus has an inner core that is made up of genetic material. So if I look below, here's an example of a virus, these round structures that we're looking at. You'll notice in the center of this one that we have opened up to see, there's genetic material. On the outside, there is a protein coat, okay, right here on the outside of the genetic material, okay, and then a membrane envelope on the outside. And on the surface of the virus, there will be these proteins, these outer membrane proteins, which allow the virus to connect to host cells. And think of it like a key. They need a very specific key. So it's like the virus is almost like a locksmith who's able to pick the lock, who's able to get into a place that he shouldn't be able to, because viruses are not healthy. They're not good for us. So that's structurally what a virus looks like. A protein coat with an inner core made of genetic material. Now, how do viruses multiply? There's two types. Viruses either multiply actively or they'll multiply in a way we call as a hidden virus. So they're either an active virus or a hidden virus. The first one is active viruses. Active viruses are the types of viruses that they get into your cells and immediately they begin to multiply. I mean, these multiply rapidly. They can lead to quick death of the cells that they've invaded and can be really dangerous. These are kinds of things that we expect and see in a quick cold that we get and it hits us right away. Now, here's what happens, and I don't expect you to necessarily track all of this, but understand the process. A virus will attach itself to the surface of a bacterium, of the surface of a cell, and then it will inject its genetic material inside of the cell. The genetic material will actually take over the cell's function because it gets inside of the nucleus and it starts to replicate itself. Okay, the cell produces those proteins and the genetic material that's necessary to make new viruses. Okay, and so now what you have is a cell full of all of this virus, and over time they will assemble these into new viruses that fill up the entire cell until at one point the cell bursts. The bacteria actually escapes out. The virus escapes out, and now we have all of these viruses able to go on and infect more cells. That's a active virus. Notice how quick it is. It gets in there, it injects its material, it makes new viruses, and boom, it's out and continuing the process. Hidden viruses are viruses that hide for a while. They hide inside a host cell before becoming active. These are the kinds of viruses and infections that you don't even know you have one, maybe for weeks or months or years before you start to see symptoms. Similar structure, virus attaches to the surface of the cell. The virus injects its genetic material into the bacterium, but here's the difference. The genetic material will actually become a part of the genetic material of the bacterium, of the cell. And so it actually kind of like hides itself in the coding. It's almost as if you're writing a book. If I was publishing a book and somebody snuck in and was able to, put in a secret line inside of the text of my book, I may not even recognize it, that it's there, it's hidden. Then what will happen is after time, after it's kind of been hidden, the virus's material will actually remove itself and become active, and it will start to produce the virus proteins, the genetic material, and assemble new viruses as an active virus. And then boom, again, the virus finally is so crowded, it bursts, and now you have new viruses. Hidden viruses can be seriously dangerous because you don't even know you got it. So it's hard to treat something. And by the time you do have symptoms, it can be pretty far along in the process. Now, viral diseases can be spread. Now think about this. Because it's non-living, you can't kill a virus. Okay, so that's why a lot of times you go to the doctor and the doctor says, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. No, that's an old rhyme. The doctor says, hey, you have a viral infection. You got a cold. There's really nothing I can do. Take this, get plenty of rest, and you'll be better in a few days. Diseases like colds and influenza and smallpox, chickenpox, cold sores, yellow fever, Ebola, HIV, these are all viral diseases. And they can be spread through a variety of ways. They can be spread through direct contact. That's why, for example, each of us, I teach at a school, right? And there's direct contact all the time. You touch the door handle, you touch the table, you sneeze on the person next to you, which I'm talking about. All this direct contact that happens within a school day, there's a risk of a viral disease being passed along. Animal bites can pass along. We think of the virus like with dogs that can bite and they can have the disease of, and I'm totally blanking on it right now, when they foam at the mouth, and I can't think of what it's called. Anyways, you know the disease I'm thinking of. But animal bites can lead to viral diseases where you have something that's transferred through that bite. Sneezing and coughing, this is the big one. Especially during cold season, people sneeze, people cough. They sneeze in their hands, they wipe their face, somebody sneezes next to them, and now you've passed the viral infection to someone else in your class. Also, body fluids like blood can be a way to pass viral diseases. So diseases can be passed in a variety of ways. And thus, because if you know these ways that it's passed, we can also know how to prevent it. So there's no real cures for viral diseases, but there are medications that we can take to help relieve symptoms. The best thing you can do if you have a viral infection is to get rest, to drink plenty of fluids, and eat well-balanced meals. Keep giving your body the right energy it needs, plenty of fluids, and that rest is going to give your body a chance to fight that virus off and to take care of it. Some ways to prevent getting viral diseases. Well, there's one thing called vaccines. All of you guys have been vaccinated for various things. And a vaccine is just a substance that's introduced into the body to stimulate the production of certain chemicals that will destroy specific disease-causing viruses. So they'll actually take viruses that are weakened or altered, and they'll introduce those to your body so that your body can already recognize them. So what happens, you get that vaccine, like a flu vaccine, let's say. What the flu vaccine is hopefully doing is introducing that particular virus to your body so your body is able to fight it off quickly. It's kind of like if you, in the old days, you'd go into the post office and there would be pictures of criminals. The purpose of the pictures of the criminals is you might recognize that criminal quickly and be able to call for help, and we can catch that guy. That's what's happening with the virus. Your body's introduced to the virus. Then if you do get the actual virus, if it does get into your body, that vaccine has already put your body on high alert, and your body can fight it off more quickly and hopefully without any true symptoms. The best thing too is just make healthy choices and practice good hygiene. Wash your hands regularly. Make sure you wash your hands correctly and multiple times a day after you eat and before you eat. I mean, all those things. Make sure that you take good care of yourself and make healthy choices as you prepare to fight them. Here's just a couple tips for you that I think are important. Cover your mouth and your nose when you're sneezing or coughing, and always wash your hands afterwards. Wash your hands after touching public objects, or if you do touch a public object, don't touch your eyes or your nose or your mouth until you've washed your hands. Get plenty of sleep. Sleep is huge, especially at your age as your body's growing. Make sure you exercise regularly. Exercise is really important at keeping your body healthy and efficient, and eat a balanced diet. Some of you guys, myself included, we can eat really bad things that don't allow our bodies to function at the highest rate that they can. So those are some practices and tips you can do to help yourself be able to ward off viruses. So that's WSQ 26. Now remember, you're going to go to Haiku, answer the questions that you've seen over these last few slides, watch or summarize, write your summary on the Haiku, and you are good to go. And I'll see you guys in class. All right, bye.